Welcome to Royals Rumble, the best sports debate show. My name is Brian Verasco. This is Daniel Valentino.
Hello.
Today we'll be talking about pretty much all football. First game, Green Bay, Minnesota. Has Green Bay lost a step, or is Minnesota the better team? Is Carson Wentz the real deal, or should the Bears give up on Jay Cutler already? Redskins have lost faith in Kirk Cousins already from locker room sources, and Lamar Jackson, should he be the Heisman so far? And what was the biggest upset in the NFL or college? So Daniel, I ask you. So Green Bay lost the game 17-14. Aaron Rodgers fumbled the ball 3 times, only recovered it, 4 times, recovered it 3, lost it once in a critical moment in the fourth quarter, and threw an interception with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So has Green Bay lost a step to you, or do you think Minnesota is just a better team this year?
I think Minnesota's a better team by far. They're built to win right now. That's why they went out and got Sam Bradford. They needed someone that has been a starter in this league before, that hasn't really been on the career backup path, that has had to come in and start like Shaun Hill. So Bradford being there helps out a lot because you can see that he already has great chemistry with Stephon Diggs, who forget how many receptions he had, but he had 182 yards and a touchdown last night.
I believe he had 7 receptions.
7 receptions. He had a phenomenal game. And Stephon Diggs is going to be relied upon now heavily, especially with Adrian Peterson being out for who knows how long. But Jerick McKinnon is a solid player to come in and replace him. Very explosive, very agile. So with that being said, they also have Matt Asiata, who can just run it up the middle. So they're very set at the running back position. Wide receiver, again, still a bit iffy with the other guys. They have Charles Johnson, obviously. Laquan Treadwell, I don't remember if he was active, though, on Sunday.
I don't believe he was. I think they.
So he was inactive again for the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Which is surprising since he was a first-round pick. But again, they're very high on Diggs, who's emerged as a solid number 1 for them. Their defense is phenomenal. They have great linebackers. Their front is pretty good. And they were without Sharif Floyd and Xavier Rhodes last week. So that being said, they have solid depth all around to come in and replace their stars when they go down.
Right. See, I think it's actually a little bit of both. Minnesota does look like a very good team, and I have to give credit to Sam Bradford because he looked phenomenal. When I saw that he got signed or traded to the Vikings, I thought the Eagles made one of the best deals ever because I thought Sam Bradford was a very low-tier quarterback. But he showed to me that with the right team, he can be a very effective quarterback. But as a Green Bay fan, this hurts me to say that they look awful, and they have been since the beginning or the middle of last year. The offense has been going nowhere in the right direction. Aaron Rodgers looks scared to death in every drive that he has. It doesn't look good for them right now. Jordy Nelson being back is nice, but the offense is just not flowing the way that I was thinking they would. But Minnesota's defense is incredible. So I give Aaron Rodgers a couple more games to see what he does, but he does not look like a top 5 quarterback to me, or even the best quarterback in the NFL, which I've been saying for a very long time. So Aaron Rodgers right now is looking very rough, and I'm not too happy.
It also doesn't help that they cut who was the lineman?
Josh Sitton.
Yeah, Josh Sitton. That did not help at all.
No, I did not understand that.
It was a very confusing move.
Yeah, he's a Pro Bowler. I couldn't believe it.
That came out of left field.
Yep, it was. We had trouble with the line, and then you get rid of probably our best lineman, their best lineman. So it hurts the Green Bay Packers, and it's just not a good look for Green Bay right now. But hopefully they get things in the right direction.
I don't see any real threat receiving-wise besides Jordy Nelson for them.
Yeah, Randall Cobb has not been spectacular, and Devontae Adams has not been the guy that I thought he would be.
Or Jordan Abadaris.
No, yeah, he didn't.
Jeff
I
Janis.
don't think either of those two played. They don't have a tight end. Oh, well, they do. They have Jared
Richard
Cook,
Rodgers.
Oh, do they? They still have him?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jared.
I don't know if he's hurt though.
Yeah, but they start Jared Cook.
Okay.
So he was all right, but he actually made a play where he caught the ball and was past the first down line, and then went back, and it was 4th down. So that was just it was just one of those days for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers literally fumbled the ball 4 times. Luckily, the team recovered it the first 3, but the last fumble was in 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it was just a big blow. And then the Vikings
Okay.
gave him the ball back, and just it
See,
was
I
rough.
was gonna say that reminds me a lot of Minnesota last year.
Hmm.
They had chances to win late in the game, and then the line would break down, and Teddy Bridgewater would get hit and fumble the ball.
Right.
I believe that happened twice in 3 weeks. I can't
Yep.
remember, but I believe one time it happened against Arizona
Oh,
last
okay.
year.
Yep, I remember that game.
So it looks like Green Bay might be regressing a bit. They've been on top for so long, and Minnesota finally was able to dethrone them as
Mhm.
the kings of the NFC North.
Right.
And with that division, it's a little bit iffy in that division in general. You don't know how the Lions are going to be because they look good week 1, last week not so hot,
Right.
and then
The Bears.
the Bears are just the Bears.
Yeah, they're not a threat to anyone. But the Lions, I think they're a little underrated. So I think they can do something, but I don't think they're enough to compete with either Green Bay or
Oh,
Minnesota.
yeah, no, not at all.
All right. So last night, the Philadelphia Eagles played the Chicago Bears and won 29-14. Carson Wentz threw 190 yards and 1 touchdown. So I got to ask, because he's been looking pretty impressive, is he the real deal? Is he the franchise quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles?
I don't know. He's played against the Browns and the Bears, two very bad football teams. I'm waiting to see him play against someone that is a contender. So we'll see. I don't know who they're playing this upcoming week.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers. That's right. That should be interesting because the Steelers are there. They're
Mhm.
probably going to win the AFC North again.
Right.
And yeah, they have a solid front. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles Pittsburgh because they have a great secondary as well.
Right. I'm going out on a limb. He's going to be the franchise quarterback.
I think it's going to take some time. See, I didn't like how they rushed him into it, and I'm also a bit skeptical because of the first 2 games, the teams that he got to play against. If he went right out into the frying pan against someone like the Cardinals and he didn't do well, I'd be like, this is what happens when you're drafted that high and you don't have a lot of time to develop.
Right.
So I kind of like the approach that the Rams are taking with Goff, but again, I'm higher on Wentz than I am on Goff. I think Wentz is a better overall quarterback, and I think he will be better in the long term.
I think Wentz, I said it right when the Rams picked Goff. I said, I think Wentz is going to be the better quarterback of the two. And I love the leadership that he has. And he's just so calm in the pocket and just overall in general. He looks like he is the leader of the team. He looks like he can galvanize the troops and get this team to play well. And that's exactly what happened last night. I mean, again, they played the Bears, I'm aware. They played the Browns the first week, but they are still NFL teams. So
Yes,
it's
that is
still
true.
impressive.
But again, when you have the Browns who decided to fire a handful of scouts for wanting to pick Wentz,
I saw that.
that's
Yeah.
that's where I see it coming. Like the Browns are, it's just a dumpster fire. There,
It really is.
it's terrible.
Absolutely.
They haven't been in the playoffs since I believe it was '96,
Right.
and they came back in '99. So
Yeah.
it's been a while,
Very
and
long time.
this franchise is not going to do anything. So yeah, that's how I feel about Wentz going up against the Browns. I think
Right.
anyone would do well against them.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the next week, honestly, because I think Wentz can show that he is a very good quarterback in
Yeah.
this league, especially thrown into the fire like that. I know, like I said, they played two awful teams, but still, I like how he went into it and just didn't look nervous at all. He didn't look like he was going to crack under pressure whatsoever. He just looked confident, and I just like to see that in Wentz, and I have a lot of confidence he will. I think they could win the division because I don't think anyone in that division is very good or very capable of keeping the division.
You know, my thoughts on the NFC East is that it's always open.
Always.
Every team has a chance of losing. The Giants' defense, I think, is going to be key for them to win in the division. And their defense has shown these past 2 weeks they can hold off. A bit of luck in the first week, of course, but they made some smart play calls on the offensive side of the ball to give the Cowboys not enough time. And then this past week, they made enough smart play calls to run the clock down all the way to 3 seconds, so they just had to kick a field goal and
Right.
end it.
Right. Okay. Okay, so,
I think we're going to head to a quick PSA break
okay.
right now. And after this, what are we talking about?
We're going to talk about the other team, the Chicago Bears,
Chicago Bears.
and if they should get rid of Jay Cutler. And we're going to talk about Kirk Cousins and the Redskins.
All right, so stay tuned for that.
Hey, I noticed you drink a lot of water. Why don't you try using this reusable water bottle?
Sure.
I can show you where the water filling station is.
Okay, great.
Here it is.
Oh, that's super cool. What are you doing?
I was just throwing my bottle out.
The recycling bin is right there.
I'm sorry, I won't do it again.
And we're back. All right.
Welcome back to Royals Rumble. So we talked about the Eagles before. We're going to talk about the other team that they played. The Bears, they did not look good at all. And the leader of the team, Jay Cutler, looked even worse. He left in the third quarter, I believe, after throwing an interception that almost went for a touchdown. So I got to ask the question, should the Bears give up on Jay Cutler?
They should have given up on Jay Cutler a long time ago.
Yes.
He has not been what he was supposed to be when he came to the NFL. That move from Denver to Chicago did not help his career at all. I think that was the beginning of the end for him, to be honest. He hasn't looked good in years, and he's going to be out a lengthy period of time for now. That's all they said. So Brian Hoyer is going to be taken over for the Bears, and they might be looking to trade for a quarterback. Who knows? They might go after Geno Smith or someone from the Jets, since they have a whole blockade of quarterbacks there. But yeah, no, I think it's time that Cutler is gone.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been good in a long, long time. I don't think a lot of fantasy owners even take him.
I've never, in the past about 3 years, I don't think anyone has taken Jay Cutler. And
Yeah.
all the fantasy leagues have been
Well,
in.
I
So.
believe he's probably owned in like at least half of the fantasy leagues
Probably.
on ESPN, but for a number one quarterback, that's bad.
That's very bad, especially with the weapons around him. I said right from the moment, remember in 2010, the NFC Championship game? It was the Packers versus the Bears.
Yes.
He got hurt and literally sat on the bicycle the entire game while Caleb Haney, this is a guy that doesn't even play in the NFL, I believe, anymore.
Colorado State.
Yep. He went in and actually they still almost won the game.
Yep.
Jay Cutler's sitting on a bike riding it the entire time. And I'm like, that's very soft of Jay Cutler to just sit there and do nothing. I don't know if you watch ESPN First Take. If you
not,
ever
not
have.
really. I have. I'm not a fan of it.
Right,
but-
okay. So Stephen A. Smith says he's the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yep, I totally 100% agree with him. 100%. I know he has talent. I know he can throw the ball. I know that he's a very good athlete. But when you look at him trying to lead a team, I don't think he's ever smiled a day in his life. I don't think he even cares about football at all. I think the only time he might have smiled was signing his contract, and that was it.
Probably.
Other than that, I don't think he really cares about football at all. He literally left in the third quarter with a hand injury.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah. No, I mean, me personally, I think Geno is also just as bad, and the whole Browns quarterback situation.
right.
So I wouldn't say he's the worst. I say he's tied for the worst with others, because my opinion, Geno Smith was overrated coming out of college, and never proved it when he was a starter for the Jets. He's thrown for so many interceptions. He reminds me of a Jay Cutler, who's supposed to be good, but is never going to be good.
I think Jay Cutler had a little bit more like hope and faith. But
Yeah.
like it just never worked out because he just never seemed to care about football.
Was
Ever.
Vanderbilt in the SEC at that point?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, he came out of the SEC, and Geno Smith came out of Well,
Louisville, I believe it was.
No,
Louisville.
Geno Smith went to West Virginia.
Oh, West Virginia. Okay, so
Bridgewater
that was
went to Louisville.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. All right.
Yeah. So I forget what conference they were a part of then. I don't know if it was.
I think it's the Big 12, right?
They are now. I think they were in a different conference before that.
Oh, okay. Maybe an ACC.
I don't know if it was the Big East or not, though.
Oh, it could have been.
It could have been the
yeah,
Big East
yeah.
when that was still around.
It's one of them.
Not a great conference, though,
Right.
in general for football.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, that's how I feel about those two. I think they're very comparable quarterbacks.
Right. I don't think because the Bears are more than likely going to cut Jay Cutler. Once they do that,
Yeah.
I don't think any NFL team should ever take him ever again.
No,
Because
someone might be desperate enough, though, to take him as a backup.
maybe
Just
the
like Mark
Browns.
Sanchez.
Right. I was just gonna say, at least Mark Sanchez though had like at least interest in football. He doesn't even look like he has interest.
Yeah, but Mark Sanchez also got beat up by a 7th-round pick.
Yes, that is very true. That was surprising, and he also butt fumbled, so that doesn't help his career.
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, that was a funny moment,
Yeah.
especially to see live.
Yeah. No, that was hysterical. All right. So recently, after the Redskins losing to the Cardinals or to the Cowboys, there were rumors that the locker room has already given up on Kirk Cousins. He did throw for 364 yards and a touchdown. However, he did throw an interception in the red zone.
Two.
What?
I thought he threw 2 interceptions in general.
No, he threw one.
Only one.
He only
Okay.
threw one. He might have had a fumble as well, but I remember he only threw one, and it was a really big one in the
Yeah,
end zone.
no, I remember that
Yep.
one.
So, do you think it's a little too much for the Redskins to already give up on Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, it's too early.
Way too early.
It's the second game of the season. He's shown that he can lead the team much better than when RG3 was there. I think they need to improve the line still, give him some more time, get him some more weapons on the outside. Jordan Reed is a decent tight end, but injury prone.
Mhm.
Deshaun Jackson is hit or miss. He's a home run play type of guy. That's it.
Yep.
Pierre Garcon really hasn't been the same since he left Indianapolis. Jamison Crowder is decent, but he's more of a return guy. He can play wide receiver. He's established himself nicely as the number 3 guy in the slot there. But Kirk Cousins, I did like him coming out of Michigan. I was surprised when they took him, especially since they took Robert Griffin III that year. And I think he's had a nice, steady pace, but he's not going to be – I don't think he's the future of their franchise. They need to wait for someone to come out in the draft in the next couple of years. I think they need someone like a Josh Rosen when he comes out. But other than that, I think it's too early to give up on Cousins.
This is classic Redskins being Redskins because this is how do you give up on him after week 2 of almost beating the Cowboys? I understand that interception was bad. I couldn't believe it myself, but he's led this team to the playoffs last year.
Mhm.
He looked very good last year. So you got to give him time. I totally agree. His weapons are not there. Deshaun Jackson is not what he used to be in Philly. He's a home run guy. Pierre Garcon was never really impressive to me. And Jordan Reed, I think he's actually a pretty good tight end. But if that's the only guy you're throwing to, I mean, how good can you possibly be?
I'm not saying he's a bad tight end. I'm saying he's injury prone, which
Oh,
is
okay,
a
yeah.
problem
Yes.
because then they have Verdon Davis, who's not what he was back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the backup used to be Fred Davis, who I believe is now out of the league. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
He could still be their 3rd tight end. I'm not sure.
Right.
But yeah, there's not a lot of depth there.
No.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and it's especially in this division where you can honestly win it at 9-7 or 8-8. So
Yeah.
it's not like they can't come back from this. And I remember someone saying on ESPN that like once teams go 0-2, there's like a 12% chance of making the playoffs. But
Look, the Giants have done that, and they went on to win the World Series, Super Bowl.
Exactly. So it's not impossible for the Redskins to come back, especially if they have to play these teams twice.
Yeah.
So it's not.
But again, they need to make sure they're playing it. I think they're going to have problems with the Giants this upcoming week. That defensive front is
very
scary good.
Very good.
Look, they've been able to use Landon Collins now for the blitz very effectively. Olivier Vernon, Jason Pierre-Paul, very scary coming off the outside. Then they have Romeo Okwara, who can play both end and on the inside. who was an undrafted free agent out of Notre Dame this past year, who made the team, and he's been fantastic for them. There's who else is there? Yeah, no, their corners are pretty solid too.
Yep.
Eli Apple has been phenomenal
Right.
coming in when no one really expected much from him. Janoris Jenkins has been solid, and then you have Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie also. So
They spend well on their money.
Oh, yeah.
Giants definitely spend well on their money because they had all the offensive weapons and they signed that Shepard guy who
they drafted Shepard in the second round.
Yep.
So they have a very scary three-headed monster at wide receiver right now, which is great because you don't know who they're going to throw to.
Not a clue.
And that's why the tight end position for them is really not as big of an issue as it was in the past.
Right.
Even though they still only have Larry Donnell, Will Tye, and Darrell Adams at this point.
Yeah. So I like I said, I think it's too early to give up on the Redskins, but you know, I think
I
they
think
can win
if you start 0-2 in this division as it is now, it's more than likely you're not going to be unless you can make it up on worse teams that you play. You know?
Yeah, like if you play the Bears or the Browns.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming they will, considering.
Yeah, I think they're playing they're playing the NFC South this year, I think.
Are they?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
well,
the
that's-
NFC East is playing the NFC South.
Well, then
so,
that's going to be an issue for them.
yeah.
But
It all depends if they play the Saints at home also.
Yeah,
Because
that's very
Drew
true.
Brees goes off when he's at home.
Okay. Yeah, very true. So, Lamar Jackson, very big name coming out for college right now. He is Louisville's best player. Beat Florida State 63-20. He has 8 passing touchdowns and 10 rushing touchdowns already. So I ask you, is he the Heisman favorite?
Well, right now he is.
Do you think
But-
he will be the Heisman at the end of the
Again,
year?
no one knows what's going to happen later on. That's all I'm going to say about that. Because Cam Newton wasn't a Heisman favorite at the beginning of the year. So, again, it all depends on how he plays at the end of the season. He's playing phenomenal right now. But we got to wait and see in the future if he's still putting up these numbers. Because if he is, then I'd say yes, if he keeps the same production line. Because he's brought Louisville all the way up to number 3.
Yeah,
the
I don't
nation.
even remember them being that high ever.
I can't remember in my lifetime them being that high.
No.
And they completely destroyed Florida State last week.
Obliterated them. I thought
Yeah.
at least Florida State would make it a game, but they did not at all.
And Florida State was the number 2 team in the nation at this point.
Mhm.
So if he keeps up this production, I think he'll be the favorite to win the Heisman.
Right. See, I'm going to say he will end up being the favorite for the Heisman. But there are a lot of good there are a lot of good players. Deshaun Watson, Christian McCaffrey, or how do you say his last name? I forget.
Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah, is that okay? That's his right name. So there's going to be a lot of competition. Lamar Jackson is doing very well though, and I think he could be the Heisman this year, definitely.
All right. So we were just told that we needed to wrap it up. And I believe that is it for this week's edition of Royals Rumble. I'm Dan Valentino.
And I'm Brandon Verastro. Thank you for joining us today. Have a
and
good
we'll
night.
See you guys next week.